Welcome, and look at what is this? Oh, that's right. It looks fantastic. The sponsor bar is finally full for the first time ever. But that's, of course, a temporary sponsor, as they are the ones putting on this event. It's the JORD Invitational, brought to you by JORD Wood Watches. I'm Rifkin, cast them a Zombie Grub, and we're in the first match of the day. We're going to be going through some WCS-style groups, two of them back-to-back, in fact. The European one, which we're casting right now, leading into the North American one a little bit later today. However, spawning in the northern spawn location to kick this off, it's going to be a red Zerg player. I think it's actually one of his only rare appearances in a base rate TV tournament. It's Liquid Snute.
In the bottom position, as the blue Protoss, it's Welmu.
Alright, so Welmu's pretty freaking awesome, and I definitely want to gush about this kid a little bit. But I want to talk about the tale of Snute, because it's kind of like a sad story for those who haven't followed a lot of our events. Every time we've had a big tournament, and I don't even mean like the 5,000, even, well, it's including, but like, not $5,000 tournaments, not the $1,000 tournaments, even ones that only have minimal prize pools, we always try and invite Snute. We freaking love Snute. He's such a nice guy, and every time he wants to play, usually something comes up at the last minute, or he's busy preparing for a bigger tournament like, say, WCS. Now, he does have WCS matches coming up, so I was a little bit shocked he was so willing to play, which is, I'm not complaining. But it's also, again, one of his first big appearances here, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. I did a quick, oh yeah, okay. I actually remember that we talk about this, right? And I'm always like, yes, he does it on his stream every once in a while. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, he finally does it, as we finally get to cast him. So he'll take this gold base. He might even take the other gold base. I mean, he does some pretty weird stuff on his stream. But, I don't know. It's interesting to see him do this, as he just brought up that he was, like, you know, still going in WCS, so why would you show off, like, your really, like, specific builds? But Van Nuys Research Station, apparently, it's just so easy to get that third base. Like, not many Protosses are able to stop you from using it, that it's almost like a standard, apparently. Like, you can do this, or you can do, like, a regular build, and both of them are okay. You're not, like, banking on them going for X or Y build.
I mean, I love when players can try and pull off something like this. And I love what Snute did with the follow-up, too. Like going for the natural base at the third instead of vice versa. Because another big appealing thing is you're playing against Protoss. Chances are, if this game's not over in the first 10 minutes, it's going to go for a bit of time. And you don't want that really safe fourth later on. But the gold base conundrum really is, like, do you use this income to just get super greedy and far ahead early? Or do you use it to pressure and kill your opponent? Because for all the great things that you can get away with on this map, I guess greed-wise, Van Nuys Research Station still comes down to the fact that Protoss players can A, play off of 2 bases, and B, have 1 ramp protecting both of those bases.
Yeah. But it does be, like, the one thing that could have really hurt this, besides, like, a really fast 4-gate, would have been a cannon rush, right? Because it was a 3-hatch for a pool. He could have gone for maybe, like, a pool after the gold hatch and then this third, but he did a 3-hatch for a pool. But, like, not many people go for Forge Fast Expands on this map because there is only 1 ramp, and it's the small ramp that you have to wall off, so it would be an awkward wall to begin with.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, this is just a really good build on this map. You should definitely, like, put it in back pocket if you want to like, watch the replays and whatever. From
top-tier foreigners like Snute to the North American heroes like No Regret, we've seen a lot of folks use this base, PvZ, to great extent.
Yeah. And it is a decision, like, do I want to go, like, really greedy with it, or do I really want to be very aggressive with it? Because I think it's, it might be a choice. Like, this is one of the situations where Zerg can kind of force the other person's hand by having such, like, a boosted economy so quickly. But there's also a choice. Like, is Welmu going to do his own greed and get, like, a fast third or attempt to? And does that trigger Snute to, like, go ahead and be very aggressive? Or does Welmu try and all in, and then, of course, Snute just defends and gets pretty greedy?
Spore Crawlers seem like an odd choice from Snute.
I think that was a... Yeah, just build cancel.
I thought he had started a Spine Crawler at first when the Zella had withdrawn the first time, in anticipation of more aggression like this. I guess the Spore Crawler only makes sense because he's worried about the Mothership Core sniping the Queen. And that's 2 queens, so 2 big bad bitches on the front lines ready to fight.
Yeah. Well, a Stargate response to a gold-based third seems to be kind of popular for whatever reason. I guess it gives you control without actually having to be out in the map with units that are going to die. You know, Phoenix and Oracles, you can technically micro them to live forever. But it is definitely a popular choice. So maybe he's considering, like, okay, maybe he's going on a Stargate, and I just want to, like, at least have 1 base covered for a Spore Crawler. Or maybe he's just worried about that Mothership, I'm not sure. Or maybe it was a mistake, and he didn't even mean for that one to finish, because he canceled the other one. I don't know. But a Roach Warren is on the way, and Snute does have his overlords in position to scout. You know, it's getting up to almost 7:30. He might want to go in there and at least see the gases. It's gonna be a 4 gates. It's a dedicated 4. It's not 1 gas 4 gate, but it's like, he still hasn't gotten his extra 2 gases of the natural. So it is somewhat dedicated. I mean, he's using the gateways, obviously, right, to actually attack and warp in a lot of stalkers. And these are speedlings. The Roach Warren only just finished, so these stalkers can kite pretty well, even on creep.
This is a situation for Snute, though, where as long as he trades decently, I don't think this isn't one of those 4 games that's supposed to spiral out of control and suddenly Welmu just wins the game off of an easy-peasy move. Snoot's pulling the drone, Snoot's got these lings, and he's trying to buy as much time because he doesn't have speed. He can't pounce on top of this. There's not a line of spine crawlers to bring into it. But with the amount of lings he has and the fact there's no zealots on the front line, kind of makes me think this is holdable. I mean, this really isn't that scary until the zealots get involved, which are finally getting warped in now.
Yeah, I think Welmu was really playing with fire about, when he was guessing that speed was going to finish, so apparently around 9 minutes. Starts warping in those zealots to really cover his stalkers, and if he can get into a decent position, I mean, his army's already so big that he's probably going to feel confident enough to do so, like get into the mineral line and whatnot, then it's going to be so hard for only lings to cover this. And he has a Roach Warren. I want to emphasize that he got one, but he's not using it, and I'm not sure why. He has enough minerals. Well, he did, except before he made and he has enough gas, so I'm not sure why he's not bothering to make any roaches.
I think lings are just better in this situation, at least. I think if you've got more breathing time, I mean, like, because it's the stalkers that are so scary. And that's what the lings will take care of, no problemo. Then you bring out the roaches to deal with the zealots afterwards, and as we see, the stalkers being dealt with pretty decently. Now, Snute did have to throw some of the drones into the fray for this, and that kind of sucks. But he stopped the snowball. He stopped this from getting so out of hand that it was an automatic game over.
Yeah. And I guess the roaches would have been like easily snipeable too, as long as he had slow lings. Pretty easy to focus down with the stalkers, but he does start making them now. Like I said, there's a cleanup crew. He will have to re-drone after losing those drones, though. So 5 more on the way. With the gold base, it does mean that, like, as opposed to 55 being kind of perfect before you attack, it's more like 50 is going to be okay before you attack. So there is that. And Welmu, of course, dedicated to an attack, so his 3rd was late. So I think Snute still comes out okay, as long as he well, maybe not. He's going to lose 3rd.
Or, well, maybe not. I don't know.
Okay, so Welmu gets that 3 zealots to be enough. It's just barely not gonna.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, this was the distraction factor for both players for that moment, right? Snute was a little bit out of position with his roaches. They could have got sandwiched in by the zealots because he was focusing on the attack down here. But because he's now focusing on the attack down here, it withdraws Welmu fully and entirely, going back home to defend. Sentry's getting caught a little out of position, not going to be able to survive that. And even if this Nexus finishes and the lings get cleaned up, this is going to be incredibly low.
Well, they both have buildings that are like 1 shot away from dying here, but I like Liquid Snutes going for that creep spread. There's not going to be like so much SimCity with that Overlord being a little annoying, and he is prepping for an attack, so that's really going to play well for him. He's only on 40 drones, but he is on 4 bases, so as long as this does enough damage that like a counterattack isn't like immediate, then it'll probably be okay, and he'll probably get the acquired amount of drones later on.
Yeah, I mean,
like right now, he's getting 10 right now.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of this too is the gold base really helps bridge that gap. Man, come over with some medical queens, I guess. Spam transfuses this. I mean, it does get it back up to a reasonable amount of health. And you questioned before about the roaches. We finally have those in play. That's Hydra's following this up. I mean, for Welmu's sake, he's got a lot of sentries. I don't think the roaches should kill him. But if he can't get Colossus out fast enough, if he doesn't have enough Blink Stalkers with enough upgrades, it's the Hydras I think that are going to be the killing blow for sure.
Yeah. He's on his way to a Robo, but that's still, Robotics Bay, and the Colossus next time to Relance. We've been casting Legacy of the Void for the last, week with all the Lotus Masters, so it's really hard to think that Colossus don't suck.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Legacy of the Void, Colossus got a bit of a nerve stick. Just a bit.
Like a log.
Yeah. I'm thinking of that moment in Star Wars where the Ewoks got those logs for the 2-legged walkers, right? And they come smashing down the sides of the trees and squish its head. Like
the Walker, Colossus, kind of the same thing.
Exactly. They both stand tall, maybe not 2 legs, 4 legs, but still, I mean, they both got hit with the Nerf log, I guess we could call
it. He's gonna get a couple of Immortals to help out initially. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna help out, right? Like, Immortals aren't necessarily bad. The Roach front is still going to be there, and they'll tear through that, but It is more about getting that splash so you can deal with like both the Roach and the Hydras, or just the Hydras. I don't know. I don't know about the Immortals. It's gonna be more about force fields anyways, maybe, so...
I feel like while you're bridging the gap to get Colossus, Immortal would be... Like, they're great. Get it in 2 or 3. Why not? While you're waiting for the Robo to finish, but... Yeah, prioritizing this could be a bit odd. I do like the Warp Prism coming out with this, though. We've definitely seen some really sick micro out of folks like Welmu in the past when it comes to that pick-up-drop stuff, but... Again, the Colossus, the sort of... I hate to say it, but the A-move factor behind this army is going to be necessary, because between the force fields, between potentially picking up and dropping Immortals, and especially Blinks... I mean, Welma's going to get to this point where I hope he doesn't overcomplicate his army. You know, have just a little too much to do.
He is looking to, like, basically all in here. Seems like he has 10 gateways plus 2 just finished, and he's moving out on the map to attack, and he is not going up to Colossus, right? But he just, like, he really risks being caught out in the open, but he catches Snute out in the open.
Yeah, Force Field's got to go down.
Might still not go well for him.
A little bit close to the front line with that Immortal, not getting picked up in the Warp Prism. Stalker's trading out pretty decently on the right side, and of course the big Warpins that are going to make this attack so powerful. Hydra's caught out, can't quite get involved with the fight. Most of the sentries surprisingly lived through this.
Man.
I
Yeah.
thought those sentries were going to get picked off immediately by the Roaches.
Yeah, I mean, they took on the Immortals so quickly, I kind of agreed, but I guess the damage was more spread out than we anticipated, so a lot of the sentries lost shields, none of them actually died. This is looking pretty dicey for Snute here. Snute only on +1 upgrades. Nothing but Hydras coming on the way now, and those will die easily, glass cannons, right? And there's still a couple of force fields left over.
Maybe. I mean, the Hydras... What's here, right? There's no Colossus, there's no Zealots to soak. It's mostly Blink Stalkers and Sentries. I think they got the potential to trade out, but it's not going to be easy.
It's the force fields, though, that are, like, as always, you know, like the Hatchery kind of helps out a little bit here. It's not really what he was looking for, I think. That's still kind of a concave for Snute, so he does back off.
Yeah, I mean, this wide ramp is going to make it hard to take engagements every time he goes up it, regardless of force fields.
Yeah, I was thinking more like if he had gotten to the very right side of the base, maybe he force fields entirely through the Hatchery, but didn't get that chance. Snute was anticipating that move. And +2 is about to finish for Snute, and his Hydra count isn't like isn't wimpy anymore, you know, it's getting up to almost 40. It's pure Hydra.
It's manly.
But it's a lot.
He ate his veggies, grew up to be a man. He's got some scruff on them Hydras. This is still going to be a weird spot, though, because like Vanite Research Station, we've always discussed, has a lot of really open engagement areas. Again, there's force field for sure, but is there going to be enough? Drone's getting pulled into the fight out of Snute, doesn't even give a flip. Everything coming from that third base. The Hydras have a massive concave, though, and unlike most situations, Snoot's not fighting on no upgrades. In fact, his 2-0's about to finish up in just a second, making these Hydralists, and hell, even the Queen, a little bit more deadly.
Yeah. He does need more fodder for the Hydras, though. He just used his third base drone to be that fodder, so some Lings are now starting to add in here. And he still has a very high Hydra count, 37 Hydras to about 30 Stalkers, and I'm not sure Welmu's going to be able to push through, even with the mass amount of Warpins that he has.
Look at that army supply shift. They were kind of even before, but now it's not even close. Snute over double the army supply. His drone count fell behind him, but he's already redroning his losses. So great defense out of Snute.
I think he's done it. I mean, Welmu, he is on 3 bases. And, you know, it's not like the Void, so, I mean, he's kind of minding out, but he could, in, like, a perfect world with some harassment, maybe get to a 4th base and splash, but he's going to try and get to High Templars first.
Yeah, how do you feel about that versus Colossus?
I don't know. They're both equally, like, equal distance away from, like, the tech tree, right? Because he has a Toilet Council and he has a Robo, but, I guess he might be anticipating a Hive already down. You know, it's almost 20 minutes, so if he went for Colossus and they just got automatically countered, or maybe he saw the Spire and figured they'd be automatically countered that way. There are 7 mutas on the way. He did see the Spire. So that might be his choice, you know? I don't think the Colossus Storms... They're gonna take a while longer to get to because they have to wait for the energy for the High Templars, but at least they're almost guaranteed damage. Like, they're not gonna be hard countered. How do you hard counter a Storm?
I mean, I like the idea of low mutas to go for the mineral harass, right? Hydras are not going to be getting to that natural base anytime soon, but the mutas might. And I think for somebody like Snute, what he would hope to do more than anything else is force at least an equivalent amount of Stalkers to come respond to this. But if he does, there's going to be that sort of snowball effect. Again, just overwhelming Welmu with army supply. Storm's not quite done for this fight. He's got Templar getting that energy. We're so tempted to make some Archons, but gotta hold those bad boys back for another about 20 seconds in game.
Yeah, it is all Hydra, so Snute has to really be very good about his splits, but he's gonna tear down the 4th base. The Mutas did some damage to the probes, almost back down to 48 probes, but he's now in a very awkward spot. Some of the Storm's gonna go down, that one kind of misses, that one's they're not great.
They don't need to kill the Hydras though. They gotta do soften up, so the Stalkers have to take one less volley, one less shot here and there. I mean, Welmu's trading out pretty well versus the Hydras. Snute really going to that concave kind of badly. He's got no fodder for this anymore. I mean, okay, Welmu lost probes and he lost that 4th, but I don't know if that was enough to devastate him. Because now Snute's lost his whole army. He's remaking granted, he's making 22 more Hydras behind us. He's got another army on the way, but that was a decent trade, but not a great one.
It wasn't good enough to make up for the previous all-in. Snute probably should still win, but maybe Stalkers are. I'm interested in Stalkers here, or maybe Snute just gonna keep making a mistake of not adding in more fodder for the Hydras. But getting that 4th and Welmu barely, like, he's really not mining off of his main and natural, and we're just now getting back to it. He's having a very hard time getting any supply at all.
Man. It's so weird, because every time we see Zerg players in this situation, it's usually the priority on, say, like, Vipers or Blinding Clouds rather than upgrades. But I'm loving watching the way the upgrades are making the Hydras deal just that little bit extra damage, just that extra shot or two really hitting that much harder.
Well, these High Templars, they're gonna have to get some great storms. There's 2 storms, and both of them kind of miss. They do some damage, right? But there's no, like, blanket storms. The Archons aren't even gonna get to morph in, apparently. GG.
Game number 1, gonna go to Snute. But everything today is best of 3s. Everything across the board is best of 3s, guys. And this is just the preliminary match as well. Not even close to winners or losers. We're not going to be hitting ads or anything just yet, but I do want to let you guys know that if you don't know, the sponsors of this tournament have made an AMA on the StarCraft Reddit. They've included information about how they've sponsored both Lag TV and Destiny 1, if you guys recall. The Woodwatch folks are, I gotta say, really friendly. Jensen's a really nice guy. So if you got questions for him, do me a favor, go ask them. You know, what inspired you to do esports? To what is your favorite type of chicken? I don't know, but that's the whole point of an Ask Me Anything. You could ask them whatever you'd like.
Other types of chicken.
I mean, I think it's cool, by the way, just a side note, like, personal opinion here, when any sort of entity, whether it's an organization, a sponsor, like when they try and just bridge the gap to the community and do stuff like this, or like take Twitter questions or things like that. So I think the AMA is a pretty cool idea, and I hope you guys will take part in it. But we're going to hop into game number 2, which is Coda.